Appreciate it. All right, folks, let's bring in Walser Wealth Management President Rebecca Walser. You know, Rebecca, these comparisons to 2011, it's really important because there have been a lot of these debt ceiling fights where the stock market has actually rallied, including the last one. But the 2011 was really, really special because what was interesting is they resolved it, and the market still, though, continued to go down for a long time. They resolved it, I think it was August 1st. Maybe we would have defaulted August 2nd. So it lingered, right? We lost our AAA status. I mean, just how worried are you with respect to this sort of debt ceiling issue now becoming something like 2011?
Yeah. Well, the Obama administration had initially tried to negotiate with the Republican House, and that fell apart. And it was so scary because we really didn't get a deal until 3 days before the actual inability to actually pay the bills for the first time, which is what caused Standard & Poor's to downgrade us, which raised our borrowing cost by over $1 billion that right then. And, I think the lesson, though, Charles, that Obama walked away with is don't negotiate, and that's where you're getting this Biden saying that he's not going to negotiate the debt ceiling with spending cuts, which I don't understand on its face. It does not make sense to me. If we never discuss the debt ceiling until it comes up and we never address fiscal responsibility, why wouldn't we address fiscal responsibility when the debt ceiling is actually coming up? So to me, it makes no sense to say I'm not negotiating the debt ceiling with spending cuts. The Republicans obviously think they made some wins in 2011, so they're sticking to it. Right. But we know that what they just passed, unfortunately, has no chance in the Senate, and they're going to have to come together. I don't know how that's going to happen, Charles, but the market does not like uncertainty, as you know. I
think it really is despicable to allow the kind of risk we just saw on this screen and then what you just described for political gain. In other words, listen, I know the Democrats probably feel that the media would be on their side. They can argue that it was the Republicans who created all this pain and misery. But at least I think that was a first good, solid step by the speaker. We'll see what happens from there. I also want to ask you about something I've been talking about on this show. And this is the dollar, or the influence of the dollar, not as losing our reserve currency status tomorrow, right? But being on a downslope. So we just got this news. Argentina is going to pay Chinese imports in yuan instead of U.S. dollars, right? This is not the first time. More and more news like this keeps coming up. How concerned are you about the fact that America is losing influence? We're unable to stop Russia from invading Ukraine, from saber-rattling in China with Taiwan, and from country after country after country, by the way, including 19 countries that have now applied to be part of BRICS. I'm seeing something really worrisome here.
Yeah, Charles, I've been the contrarian on this. I've been saying, wow, big global macroeconomic things are coming. What I'm really interested in is that we're finally starting to get this news to the American mainstream public, which is really being peppered. And if you look at the Argentina story, they had the largest drought that they really said, hey, we're low on our greenbacks because we didn't have a lot of, exports that we sold because of our supply, because of the actual drought. So this is why we're transacting these imports from China in Wuhan. We're not ditching the dollar just because of this drought that we've had. In other words, we're seeing this economic information come forward, but we're getting excuses with it so that it doesn't get normalized. Yet the true intention is to normalize and to let people know that this is starting to happen, that countries are starting to transact outside the dollar. And of course, Saudi Arabia with a formal application to join BRICS, which will be looked at the June 2nd and 3rd Cape Town meeting of the BRICS nations in Cape Town, South Africa. That's where we could really start to get some disruption, Charles, and it is very concerning, and people need to wake up. Absolutely.
First of all, kudos, because you were on this before almost anyone, and you're right. Slowly but surely, people are. What's interesting to me, Rebecca? People on Main Street are getting this more than Wall Street. All the Wall Street folks are like, it's no big deal. It never happened. And I'm wondering if they've ever read a history book. We'll leave it there, Rebecca.
Rome, maybe.
Great Britain, Portugal, Spain. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're not the first country that had the world's reserve currency. Rebecca, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, folks.